I'm Matt Elman, and you're listening to the Complete Confidence with Cambridge podcast. We've got lots of useful tips and tricks to help you plan your school year as you prepare your learners for their Cambridge English qualifications. Whether you've been teaching exam classes for years or just at the start of your teaching career, come along with us. We'll help you unpack the English language exam journey using our own real-life experience and easy-to-follow examples from the exam preparation course Complete. So, let's get started. Today's episode is brought to you by Olha Madylus. Olha has taught in the UK, Greece, Hong Kong and Venezuela. She's a freelance author, materials designer, consultant and teacher trainer, and her main focus is on understanding and motivating learners.
Hello and welcome to my very first podcast. It's so lovely to be able to share some of my ideas to help you start this exam journey positively and effectively with your students. Today I'm going to focus on Key for Schools, and I'm here to share some ideas to help you start that exam journey as positively and effectively as possible. What I'll be talking about is how do we create the right learning environment so our students can do as well as possible and be as happy as possible in the classroom. And what I'll be focusing on is linking to the instructions that you get in the teacher's book. Some of you would be very used to using the teacher's book and will understand all these instructions that are given, but I'm going to focus on 3 in particular and explain exactly what they mean and how they will help you in the classroom. The first thing you'll find when you're looking at the teacher's book, and please do use the teacher's book because it's so helpful, is at the beginning of a unit or a chunk of the unit, you will see something that says lead in. Now, a lead-in could be a game or an opportunity for students to give their own ideas or to just practice the language that's coming up in the unit. Now, some teachers do skip this because they think, oh no, we must hurry up. We must get on with the lesson and we don't want to waste time. But this is an invaluable part of the lesson. It's very difficult for students just to go into a new topic or a new piece of language cold. In fact, they might have just come in from a maths lesson, so their head is full of, figures and numbers. They need to kind of switch on the English part of their brain. And if they're not ready for the lesson, they can get very lost and they can get very demotivated. So the lead-in helps to signpost what's going to happen in that lesson and really kind of helps the students switch on the language they need for that lesson. And to be honest, it's not very motivating for the teacher to say, today we're going to look at the simple past tense. That's a bit of a downer, isn't it? So having a nice activity at the beginning can really help to primarily arouse their interest. We want them to be thinking, what am I going to do today? This looks quite interesting. And especially if the activity is something like a game. So, for example, one of the first lead-ins that you'll find in the course book is an activity like, we call it a gap word or a hangman activity. And the students work together to try and fill in the gaps to work out what the word is. And the word is going to be something that is very useful in that unit. And these lead-ins are always doable. They're not too difficult. They're going to be working together, so that helps. And having that little bit of success at the beginning of the lesson really makes them feel positive. There is nothing more motivating than success. And I think that's really important for us as teachers to remember. Start off with something that's going to engage them and make them feel like, yes, I'm a good student. I'm a good learner of English. The lead-in is a very good opportunity for the students to start activating schemata. Now that sounds a bit posh, but basically what this means in reality, whenever we are in a situation of using language, so we're going to listen to something, read something, talk about something, our brains prepare us for this. We start thinking number one, about the real life situation. So we think about what kind of things do we expect to hear or say in this situation. And that could be non-linguistic. We can imagine, you're meeting somebody for the first time. Maybe it's the first day at school. So you put yourself into that situation. Then you might have an activity where you are asking your students to get to know the student next to them, to pretend they don't know them. So then they have to start thinking, what language would I use here? How do I introduce myself? What kind of questions do I have to ask? Will my friend ask me? And working together, they can really help each other to, trigger that language. There's a lot of language in our students' heads, and we have to help them to wake it up. Another instruction that we see in the course book is this word elicit. Keep saying elicit X from your students. This is basically ask them. And one of my favourite mantras when I'm training teachers or in my own head is ask, don't tell. And I try to use this all the time when I'm teaching or even training. There's no point saying to your students, right, I'm going to tell you all about the present continuous and then give them a long explanation, because chances are they know most of that and they'll switch off while you're explaining it or go to sleep or start playing with their phones. It's much, much better to say, okay, can anyone tell me when do we use the past continuous? And this is really important because by asking, you invite the students to think, to remember, to use what they know, and to be involved in the lesson. You're going to engage them and, crucially, maximize their involvement. Students need to have those opportunities to listen and respond in English. And if they know that they're going to be asked questions, they're going to pay much more attention. And if they know that their input is going to be valued by the teacher and their classmates, it will help build their confidence. And I think the dynamics of our classroom are absolutely crucial. We want this lovely, buzzy classroom with everybody joining in, everybody helping each other, and everybody feeling that they're actually quite clever, that they know things. Even at a level like Key, our students already do know a lot of English. And of course, it's really important for the teacher not to be speaking all the time. I mean, it's very tiring for a start, but it can just get so boring for students. And if you're asking very obvious questions, it can also be a bit annoying for students. And if we're doing this, if we're eliciting from students, we're asking them, and the student can make that suggestion, can answer that question, just imagine how confident that will make them feel. That you feel as a student quite often, you feel a bit stupid. You feel, I don't know this. But we're asking them questions that they can answer. We're asking them questions at a level where they can feel very clever. And I would just say here, a little tip from me is do try to not just ask open questions all the time to the whole class, because the more confident students will always be the ones to answer. We want the quiet students, the shy students, to participate. So please do encourage them. Use their names. Ask them easy questions, maybe a yes-no question, just so they can join in. And then you have an opportunity to praise them and say, thank you so much. That's really good. Well done. They will make mistakes. So if you're asking for suggestions, you're asking for ideas, don't overcorrect them at this stage. If you're overcorrecting them, they will become reluctant to join in. So give them that safe space to say what they want. Okay, and the third thing I want to focus on is where, particularly in the student's book, as well as the teacher's book, it says, get the students to work in pairs. And I don't know how you feel about that. Maybe you feel that it's better for students to work quietly on their own, but it's not cheating when they work in pairs, it's collaborating. And there are a lot of benefits from collaboration. One student in the pair might have forgotten something from the previous lesson, and their partner might help them to remember it. And this really helps you. It saves you so much time to, you don't have to be the one doing the remedial work all the time. I mean, I'm sure sometimes you might feel that you're just working super hard, don't you? Because you're having to help every individual student. Let them help each other. There are two very important advantages when students work in pairs. And primarily, I think, for me, the ability to get students to talk to each other in English in an authentic way in the classroom, maybe just by checking their answers or asking what they have, is very important, because English has to be a medium of communication. Now, a lot of teachers will say, and maybe you are one of them, will say, well, they always speak in their own language when they do this. But why are they speaking in their own language? We have to help them by inputting the language they need for this. So a very typical thing is check your answers in pairs, and they start speaking their own language. So what do they need? We need to teach them things like, I agree, I disagree. What do you have for question 3? A, B, C. Really simple things that they can start using that can become part of their repertoire that they go back to every lesson. And this way, once you start inputting this and you add a bit more each time, they will be using it. The other advantage of pair work, and I think this is really, really important when we look at the psychology of learning, is that it reduces stress. If the teacher is always just asking one student to answer a question, it can become very stressful in class. We want our students to feel comfortable, confident, and dare I say it, courageous. I can say this, I can do this. And I think that's a really positive thing in the classroom.
Let's recap.
So, by engaging the students, by allowing for them to be successful and participating, we really do build that sense of confidence. And 3 things I think will come out of this: that they will start feeling very confident and positive about the exam. And that mindset is very, very important. And we're activating as much English use as possible in the classroom. So we're not just looking at English, we're using it. And focusing on collaboration is not just a language outcome, it's also a life skill. Getting students to listen, to negotiate, and to really get to the best outcome together. So when you look at your teacher's book, when you look at those 3 things, lead in, elicit, work in pairs, do you think about all this? Hopefully you will do in the future. I do hope you found this podcast useful and you've got some good ideas to take into your classrooms. Don't worry if you missed anything, because this is a podcast, and that means you can listen to it again on the bus, in the kitchen, wherever you are, and hopefully you can take all these ideas into your exam classes. Bye for now.
That's it for today. Discover more episodes from this series on our website, cambridge.org/completeconfidence. We have podcast episodes for every level of the Cambridge exams. Come back and join us again soon. And don't worry, you've got this.
You've been listening to the Complete Confidence with Cambridge podcast, brought to you by Cambridge University Press and Assessment.